The next point that I wanted to talk about is part of understanding wala and bara today is to understand that there is a war on changing the Islamic terminology, manipulating it, or deleting it and canceling it out altogether. It's both a shaitanic, Fir'awnic tactic. And the munafiqeen of today follow in the steps of, no other than the footsteps of the shaitan and Fir'aun. They either change the terms, or they change the meaning, the definition of it, or they try to cancel it out. When the shaitan told Adam alayhi salam to eat from the tree, he didn't just say eat from the tree. He masked it with something nice, made it look good. هل أدلك على شجرة الخلد وملك لا يبلى. هل أدلك على شجرة الخلد وملك لا يبلى. O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of eternity? He didn't just say tree, he said tree of eternity, making it seem like it's good. Shaitanic terminology. It's a scheme to convince one that something doomed is actually good. That's how they convince people, changing the terms, the Islamic titles. It's a prophecy by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. لا يشربن ناس من أمة الخمر يسمونها بغير اسمها in Sunan Abi Dawud. There's another narration in Ibn Majah. لا تنتهي الليالي والأيام حتى تشرب طائفة من أمة الخمر ويسمونها بغير اسمها. These hadith, the Prophet ﷺ saying there's going to be a group in this ummah who will drink alcohol, yet name it some other name. Like alcohol and name it another name. And likewise, usury and name it interest. When you change the name of alcohol to spirits, or in Arabic they call it today mashrubat ruhiyya, you feel a different feel about it. It's not khamar. You know all the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ cursed people for it. It hits your heart. But when it's mashrubat ruhiyya or spirits, it's a different thing. New names for shura, for example, now they call shura democracy. Why? When you call shura democracy, in democracy shura, it justifies all the kufr of democracy to seem like it's Islamic. It's a mental game. They call it shura. Before saying anything, they call it shura. It has already manipulated the minds of the masses into thinking that shura is democracy, and the opposite. So then everything about it is good. That's good. We have a surah, we have a chapter about it. It's commanded. You hear some who change and reform, and they say, yeah, Islam says you can reform. We're reforming our speech. Then you look at it, it's not reforming their speech or the way they're talking or presenting Islam. They're in reality reforming the teachings of Islam, not the way they're conveying it. There's room to use technology, to develop use. I don't have to use the same sentence you use to bring someone to Islam. We don't have to use the same sentence. We don't have to use the same subject to bring them to Islam. You can use English, you can use social media, but there's no room to reform Islam or the teaching of Islam. What they've been doing is reforming the teaching of Islam and saying, oh, I'm just reforming the way I'm presenting it. Fir'aun, like the shaitan, as powerful as he was, he couldn't get the control he got without using this devilish Fir'aunic tactic. The ones that the munafiqeen of today use. What did he say? He used to tell them, وَمَا أَهْدِيكُمْ إِلَّا سَبِيلَ الرَّشَادِ. I show you that which is the correct path. I'm guiding you guys. So, Sabil al-Rashad, the correct path. So now they take the correct path. Now they take the correct path as the path of Fir'aun. And I guide you only to the right path. He changed Sabil al-Rashad, the path of right policy, to being his path. Now the right path is the right, that's what the masses think. The ignorant people assume it's the Fir'aun, the right path. It's embedded in their mind. He defined it as that. That changed the evil path to being the path of Musa alayhi salam and Harun. In fact, he went to explicitly say that. So when he said, in hadhani lasahiran, now when you see Musa Fir'aun, oh, those guys are magicians, they're bewitched. لا وأني لا أظنك يا موسى مسحورا. Then he went further to change the definition of Lord to mean he himself. So now when one says Lord, it's Fir'aun. أنا ربكم الأعلى. Changing and twisting the definitions of words. The shaitanic Fir'aunic tactic of yesterday and the munafiqeen tactic of today is to flip the meanings of terms and give Islamic terminology new definition to cover the truth, to dismiss the usage of the terms altogether. With that, truth becomes nifaq, and nifaq becomes truth. You don't know which is which. Ta'a is fisq, and fisq, you don't know what's going on because they played around with the terms and their definitions. Changing and tampering with the terms is one of the biggest causes of leading people astray in aqeedah, wala and bara. One of them. The entire aspect today, which I say today, and in the West, the entire aspect of changing the terms or their definition or deleting them, that aspect itself is a missile aimed at wala and bara. If you tell a true knowledgeable, I'll give you this scenario, if you tell a true knowledgeable Rafidi of the group of Rawafid that are closest to Ahl Sunnah, you tell them, you know, there's many sects to a Rawafid, the closest. You tell them, I don't believe in your 12 Imams like you do. They will tell you, you're a kafir. They know what they're talking about. And if you don't want to hear it from them, go open Al-Kafil Al-Kulayni, one of their top references, and it'll clearly tell you. If you don't believe what they believe, and they have, you know, special belief in them, then you're kafir. You have to believe in all 12 Imams. If you tell a Christian, I only believe in Isa as a prophet, not as an Allah or Savior, or that he was crucified, to them you're a kafir. They'll tell you that. The ones who are truthful, they'll tell you that. In fact, you can do every imaginable sin and believe Isa is a savior to them, and you'll have hope. You do all the good and you don't believe that, and they'll believe that you're a kafir, you're a disbeliever. Muslims have deemed a word Allah used too harsh on their namby-pamby hearts. Every bit of mercy you see anywhere, you heard of, or will hear of in the future, or that happened in the past, from the time of the creation until the time of the judgment day, is one portion of 100 portions of Allah's mercy. And He reserved 99 for the judgment day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us His mercy on that day. When they take out kafir out of our vocabulary, when they take kafir out of our vocabulary, they are tampering with the terms in claiming that they have more mercy than the all-merciful who called them kafara. Kafir is in the Quran, kufur, and kafirin, and kuffar, and alladhina kafaru. That's in the Quran more than 400 times. Shirk, mushrik, and its derivatives. Just like the word kafir and its derivatives, shirk and mushrik and its derivatives are in the Quran over 200 times. Kuffar is in the Quran 14 times. Its plural, kafirin, is in the Quran 55 times. Alladhina kafaru is in the Quran 152 times. A term repeated so many times to know that a believer is a believer and a kafir is a kafir. Wala and bara, part of wala and bara. You must know that, you must believe that, and you must believe in the terms too. You must believe in the terms too. In Kashaf al-Qina' lil-Bahuti, he said, whoever, and others said of course the same thing, whoever does not believe whoever takes another religion out of Islam, like Christianity or Judaism, whoever takes those kind of religions, whoever doesn't believe that that's a kafir, then he is a kafir. Those who want kafir out of our vocabulary or tamper its definition, not only claim with that act that they're doing that they think that they're more merciful than Allah, but they think they are in the position to proofread and edit the Quran. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Whoever seeks a religion other than Islam, it will never be accepted from him, and in the hereafter he will be among those who are losers. Whoever chooses a path other than Islam. You can't edit or change the Islamic terminology no matter how hard you try. Look at Allah's verse in the Quran. هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن. He created you. Some of you are disbelievers and some of you are believers. Allah said there's two groups There's no third. That's wala and bara. Allah, the Creator, declared His creation are two groups, not a third. Then you get one who's created from a despicable semen saying that, no, Ya Allah, I believe you got it wrong. Their actions say that. There's a third category. And many of you heard that. Many of you asked me about that because you've heard it elsewhere. That's in reality what they're saying. Ma'adha Allah wa ta'ala Allah an dhalika aluwan kabira. Ibn al-Qayyim back in the days wrote about this. He said about those who play with the terminology. He said they added to the sin of committing a sin, the sin of trickery, playing trickery with Allah. He said that's khida', that's ghish, that's nifaq, that's deception, that's cheating, that's hypocrisy. Changing the terminology. But you know what he was talking about? Back in the day, they weren't playing with the terms of aqidah. They were playing with the terminology of prohibitions, which is bad as well, like alcohol, changing its name to justify it. He said in addition to whatever sin they did, they added to it a bigger sin, which is playing trickery and games with Allah by changing the name. Imagine if he lived to see those who are here today changing the terms, not in matters of halal and haram, but at the core of la ilaha illallah and words inside the Quran. Ayub said, what if they think they're doing? Playing tricks with Allah like kids play tricks with their parents? And of course he was talking about the same things of matter of halal and haram. Imagine if they live to see in aqidah. The next